Hey, it's John, True Vintage Guitar. I've got two Gibson ES-345 guitars in the shop right now, both from the 1970s. They're about 4 years apart. One was made in the Kalamazoo factory and one made in the Nashville factory. So I wanted to make a video going through describing the differences in the tone and the construction, that kind of stuff. That way you can make an informed decision when you're out there looking at Gibson guitars from the 70s. But first, have you subscribed to this channel? I just booked a cross-country flight to go on a little guitar safari for about 2 weeks from now to buy a Golden Era Gibson guitar. It happens to also be gold. It's a Gibson Les Paul, and I've been trying to buy this guitar since September, and I booked that flight. I'm going to be bringing the camera along, talking about the whole thing, describing the process of buying a guitar like that, talking about its history, so I'd love for you to catch that video. So yeah, hit subscribe and hit the notifications bell so you'll get a notification when that video goes up. If you're watching this and it's after January 2020, that video is probably out there somewhere, so go check it out. So anyway, thank you for hitting subscribe. I appreciate that. Leave me a comment, some feedback. Follow on Instagram at True Vintage Guitar. Let's talk about the history of the ES-345 model first before we go into these two in particular. So the ES-345 came out in 1959. It was the third in the 3X5 series, the thin-line electric Spanish guitars that started with the ES-335 in 1958. Then a little bit later in the same year, the ES-355, that was the top of the line. Initially it was mono, it was the ES-355T. Then by early 1959, this one comes out and it was the middle tier. It's the ES-345. So it's a little bit upgraded from the 335 in that it has the split parallelogram fretboard inlays, a little bit thicker binding, but the most special thing about it was the stereo output with the Veritone switch. It was the first stereo model from Gibson to come out, and then a little bit later in 1959, the ES-355 was outfitted largely with the same circuitry, so most of them came out as stereo Veritone guitars as well. But the 345 was first, and the stereo setup from Gibson is kind of funny. So this output jack is not a standard mono jack, it is a TRS jack, that's tip, ring, and sleeve. So the neck output is to one side of the stereo signal, the bridge position output is the other side of the stereo position, and then they're summed in the middle output. And strangely enough, these pickups are out of phase from each other in the middle position, but more on that in a minute. This is the often misplaced gray Switchcraft stereo cord that was sold with these guitars originally. Most of the time they get left in the back of an amplifier somewhere. But this is the input to the guitar side, so that is a TRS jack. Not sure if you can focus on that. Then on the other side, it's got two 1/4 inch mono outputs, a left and a right. So when you plugged into a Gibson stereo amplifier that was meant for this, the middle position would not be out of phase. It would be the phases of each side were inverted, so the middle position would be in phase from each other. So it was a very cool setup. It was kind of meant for a Gibson stereo amplifier, but it was also useful if you had two separate amplifiers, so you had one on stage left and one on stage right, and you could send one signal to one side and one signal to the other. It didn't really take off as an industry standard for stereo. It was kind of a Gibson innovation in the late 1950s that, yeah, it's moderately useful and it's fun to play with, but most people prefer the mono setup. So the way they achieved the out of phase or inverted phase in the middle position was when they built these pickups, they have a bar magnet underneath that has a north-south polarity. Usually they would install with the magnets with the polarity in the same direction, but for the pickups meant for stereo guitars, they would be reversed. So one would be north to strings and one would be south to strings. So that's how they achieved the out of phase position in the middle. So this is the 72 Gibson ES-345. I love this guitar. So in 72, they were still manufacturing everything in the same factory in Kalamazoo, Michigan, same as the 50s and 60s guitars. They did have a few change in specs. Number one, they had this trapeze tailpiece in 1965. Also, the skinnier nut width still has the skinnier nut width. The main difference from the later guitars is this one still has a mahogany neck, but it does have the neck volute from the common to the 70s. The pickups are the patent sticker pickups, same as the late 1960s T-top Gibson patent sticker pickups. So they still have that sticker from the humbuckers they were making in the 1960s. Excellent guitar. I love the kind of cherry sunburst. So I bought this one from the widow of the original owner, And she was selling her guitar, and I saw it. You know, it had been for sale for a while. I really loved this one from the moment I saw it because it had this very cool truss rod cover. Not sure if you can focus on that there. So that is a handmade abalone shell with turquoise stone inlay truss rod cover, and I saw that the person selling it was named Laura. So I asked her what the story was, and she said that her husband was a country guitar player, but he was mostly kind of a craftsman and tinkerer, and he wanted to make a truss rod cover just in her honor. So he made it Laura, and she, you know, loved her husband. He had passed, you know, 5 or 6 years before, and she was downsizing everything and looking to replace her roof. So she was selling the guitar in order to fund that purchase. So I was glad to pick it up. I love the guitar, and there's a listing for it at truevintageguitar.com. Link in the description if you want to check that one out. So this is the ES-345 from 1976. In 1975, Gibson opened a new factory in Nashville, Tennessee, and until about 1984 or so, they were manufacturing guitars in both factories. This one happened to have been made in Nashville, has a couple of different specs, the main one being that this has a dark-stained maple neck instead of the mahogany neck like the earlier 70s guitars. Still has the neck volute, still has a skinnier nut width. This example has a little bit fatter neck than the other one. I'll have to put the measurements down in the description. Also got that dark kind of fade to black sunburst. Beautiful guitar, no brakes repairs. Still has the Gibson deluxe tuners instead of the kind of larger Grovers that they were using later, or Schallers maybe. So the change to maple neck was probably made to strengthen this part here, which was very prone to breaking. You've probably seen headstock repair Gibson guitars with mahogany necks. It's less common to see the maple necks. People seem to prefer the mahogany anyway. You'll have to decide for yourself which one you like. The other main difference about this guitar is that these gold-covered humbucking pickups are patent number etched humbucking pickups. I haven't taken any of these apart, so I don't know exactly the differences between the earlier 70s and later 70s pickups, but we can hear how it sounds a little bit later in this video. So I bought this one from what I was told the original owner. He said he bought the guitar in 1976, and he wanted to be, you know, a big-time guitar player. He never really became that big-time guitar player that he wanted to be, but he held on to his guitar and he took great care of it. So he was downsizing, and, you know, this is one of the things he sold, so I was proud to pick it up as well. Quick note on Gibson stereo guitars before we start the playing portion. If you get an ES-345 or ES-355 TDSV, that's the stereo baritone version of the 355, and you plug in a standard 1/4-inch mono cable into your amplifier, it's going to work great on the neck pickup, but when you switch to that bridge pickup, there's going to be no output there because it's a TRS output jack. So there's a couple different solutions for that. You can use the stereo cable included with the guitar, unless it's already missing, in which case you can go find one out there somewhere. And then you can plug the TRS jack into the guitar, and then 2 mono outputs meant for 2 separate amplifiers. So you can have one on the left side, one on the right side, and have that stereo signal, and that sounds great. But if you try to plug 2 of those outputs into the same amplifier and you hit the middle position, it's going to be out of phase, and there's going to be a lot of phase cancellation. So that might be an issue for you, unless you really like that out of phase sound. The other option you can do is use a Gibson stereo amplifier and one of these cables, and that sounds amazing, but those are kind of tough to come by, like the GA75, the GA79, GA83S. Very cool amplifiers, kind of tough to come by, kind of tough to keep them running. So I, instead of having 2 different microphone setups, which I do not have yet, hopefully I will get soon so I can get a full stereo signal of these guitars, I'm using this product instead. It's the BMF Effects ES box. And I purchased this pedal. This is not a sales demo of this pedal. I just wanted a cool way to plug a stereo Gibson guitar into my pedal board with a mono output. So this is a mono to stereo buffer. So I'm running one single TRS stereo cable to a TRS input into this box, and this is a buffer, and it will sum both signals. You can still use your volume and your tone knobs independently. And then on the other side, it's got a mono output, so I'm running that to my pedal board. I like this pedal because it's a cool option. You know, it's just a quick and dirty way to play your stereo Gibson guitar. What I don't like about it is that there's a total missed opportunity in that it's summing the stereo signal in the middle position, but it's not inverting the phase. And so it's still out of phase. I just feel like that's kind of a missed opportunity. Still a very cool solution to the problem. I'll put a link to this pedal down in the description so you can pick one up if you'd like one. I think they're cool, but yeah, still out of phase in the middle position. So let's hear the 72 first. I am going in out of the guitar into the ES box, then into a tuner, and I have a fuzz pedal kicked in there somewhere throughout there, but I do not have any other pedals engaged during that playing session. Yeah, and I even get to a point where I kind of explore the baritone switch, which I'm not, it's okay. It's a cool thing to have in like a studio situation, but if you run through those positions, you'll notice kind of less and less output. So yeah, let's listen to the 72 first. do love Britney's playing on the Alabama Shake stuff, so I'm trying to do my best to demo the guitar with that song. Next, let's play the 76. Yeah, this has a little bit fatter neck, still an excellent playing guitar, really great shape. I love the way it sounds. So yeah, I'd love to hear what you guys think, which one sounds better or different at all, or maybe you can't tell a difference at all. So hopefully I've been able to demo it good enough to tell a little bit of difference there. But here's the 76. Both those guitars are available at truevintageguitar.com. I've even got a link in the description to both of those if you want to check them out. They're currently available at the time of this filming, but by the time you see this video, they might not be available, so no guarantees there. Hopefully I've got some more 345s in by then. But yeah, so thank you so much for watching this video. Hit subscribe if you liked it, because I'm going to be bringing these videos weekly. I've got that guitar safari coming up for that Gibson Les Paul Golden Era, really incredible guitar. I cannot wait to go out there and get it. It's from the family of the original owner. So yeah, also follow on Instagram if you want those live kind of updates on the guitar safaris. So that's at True Vintage Guitar. If you do follow, drop me your Instagram handle. I'll follow you back and look forward to seeing you out there. Thank you so much for watching. Again, I really appreciate your support. And so yeah, drop me a comment below if you have anything to say about this video. What did you like? What did you not like? If you liked it, hit the like button. You're welcome to hit dislike too, that's cool. Anyway, my name is John. My website is called True Vintage Guitar, and thank you so much for watching.